Test.
Another same
Testing 1, 2, 3.
share the love. Embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. And now do we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. Now do we stand in love's pure might.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in to Watching the World. I appreciate having each and every one of you here tonight. You could be anywhere you want to be, but you choose to be here with me talking about these points of interest. Bordeaux, can you hear me? Let's do a sound check this time. Very good. All right, guys. So I'm assuming that I can be heard. Okay, did we have a malfunction? That is too funny, Deborah. Good job. But you can hear me now, though, right? Can I get a yes in the chat, folks? Just give me a yes, and I shall proceed. Okay, loud and clear. Very well. All right, so let's get right to it. Today, earlier, we had 16,000 people in the building for lunch. It's amazing that we have so many people. We've grown tremendously since the beginning. If you notice on the screen, there's a stock. It's called SoFi Technologies. And notice that over a year ago, it was $6.97. And this is my Facebook page, and you can see what I'm actually telling individuals to research the stock, right? And you can see it went up a bit. Would you imagine that this stock is now $21 as of today? So of all the people that purchased the stock, they have quadrupled their money. Can you imagine that? About 3 weeks ago, I posted about this stock on my community page, and quite a few of you guys, I know Michonna, perhaps she purchased and some others. And it was $13 at that point. Today it's at $21 and increasing. So from time to time, I'm not giving you financial advice, but I am sharing with you some ideas to go research first. And perhaps you could start off by buying just one stock and monitor the stock to see how it goes. If it goes up, if it goes down, and at least you open the door to start doing research to be able to invest for the future, perhaps even for your kids. And someday you could think about passing on generational wealth to them. But it's just an idea, folks. It's something that you can look into in your spare time. All right, so we have Deborah and Bordeaux in the building. Today we're going to go over a couple points, just a brief point about Sean Diddy Combs. As many of you guys know, I went to the trial. I was there every day for roughly 8 weeks. And if you were to include the jury selections, I mean, I was there roughly 9 weeks. It came out today, maybe as a form of rumor or what have you, that Sean Puffy Combs is actually taking therapy for domestic violence or what have you. So if that is the case, then that is a good thing. I know that when it came down to the day of his verdict, and when his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, stood up and says, hey, my client, the 3 major charges have been found not guilty. Can my client go home? And then the prosecution stood up and said, well, you know, this guy has many issues. The 2 counts that he does have remaining, each of them carry 10 years apiece. So he could be looking up to 20 years. So, you know, that's what the prosecutors, that's their job, right? So the judge, he made it seem as though Mr. Combs would have went home that day, because he says, I'm going to make a decision on this matter, because I'm sure Mr. Combs does not want to go back to the jail or back to the MDC, I believe it's called. And then at the end of the day, the judge came back and says, no, we're not going to release him. And then he brought up the whole issue because in the opening arguments, Mark Agnifilo had brought out that Mr. Combs had been found, it was true that he was engaging in domestic violence. And they really stood on that and said, my client is not trying to avoid the drug usage and the violence. Well, when the judge came back on the day that the verdict came down and they were trying to decide whether he'd get bail, the judge says, well, you guys conceded that he was involved in domestic violence. And based on that, I would not grant him bail. So that was the basic gist of what happened that day. So in essence, they used the words of the attorney against him. Now, that whole statement about domestic violence, and they owned it from the beginning, it probably helped the overall case because they're trying to paint a picture that this is not RICO, but more of a case of domestic violence. So it probably helped in that regard. But what I'm saying is when it came down to him getting bail, it was actually held against Mr. Combs, and the judge had no problem reiterating, listen, these are your words. You're the one that said that your client is violent. So if what they're saying online is true, then this will be good points in the bucket for Mr. Combs, because while he's awaiting October 3rd to be sentenced, he's already taken those positive steps to try to show that he's working on the errors and the issues that he has in his life. So that's a point that came out in the news today I wanted to cover with you guys, and also give you a little background information because I was in court that day. So as far as this case goes with Mr. Combs, we're looking forward to October the 3rd. I'll be there in court, and we'll see what's going to happen. Just like anything else, there's a big debate whether Mr. Combs will get a short amount of time or whether he'll get some severe time based on all these different scenarios that people have. For the most part, the two charges that he does have, his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, said is basically not like an individual that was making money from transportation or prostitution, but it was more as though Mr. Combs was a customer or on the receiving end. And the argument was, under those circumstances, there was no need to keep him in jail for an extended period of time. So if you want to go by the law and how it works, there was a strong argument that the man should have been able to go home with his family for the 4th of July. However, we know that the judge took a different stance. And I told you guys several times already that when it comes to this judge and being in court, seeing these things with my own eyes, not listening to what somebody's saying on the internet, there's two times in particular that I thought the judge was going to lean in favor of something, right? Like in favor of Mr. Combs. And then he came back at the end of the day and he changed his position from what we were expecting. Let me explain. Remember, there was a juror number 6, that was removed in this case, right? Well, when it first came out that there was an issue, perhaps he lied or misrepresented where he lived, okay? The judge said in the morning, well, it's probably just a case, maybe like language, or perhaps it was a misunderstanding. So the judge seemed like there would be some misunderstandings there, just need to figure it out. By the end of the day, when the judge came back around 4:30, he had took a strong stance that the juror was going to be off. Okay, so it's probably a matter of taking in more information. Okay, so the same thing happened again when it came to the day of the verdict reading for Sean Combs. In the morning, it appeared that the judge would perhaps even let him go home. But when he came back at the end of the day again, now he took a stern approach and said it's denied. So that's something that I think needs to be factored in the case, even though certain things may line up according to what you may think you know. Um, at the end of the day, we don't know, and we'll just have to see which way the judge goes. But according to the rumors that are floating, it looks like Mr. Combs is heading in the right direction, doing the things that are needed to show that he's trying to address the issues that he had in life or continue to struggle with. All right. So let's see. All right, Cassandra, thank you for being in. You say Harvey from TMZ confirmed he's in therapy. Okay, for domestic violence and drug addiction. He also said Diddy isn't getting anything close to 4 years and will likely be home for Thanksgiving. Okay, all right. So there's a good indication of someone else that thinks that Mr. Combs is likely to get very he'll probably get just a little time, perhaps. But you never know. I gave you some good reasons to just wait and see what the judge has to say. I think that's going to really solve the problem for everyone. All right. So the next matter at hand, we're going to be talking about Donald Trump, also Ghislaine Maxwell. I have some videos in store for you guys, so we're going to get right to it. Now, the subject matter that I want to go over with you first is the article that came out, and I'm just going to go over a little bit of this article. As many of you are aware that Roger Stone, he was one of Donald Trump's associates that actually, I believe he went to jail. And so there's an article that came out that basically says that Mrs. Maxwell might be testifying about the matters involving Jeffrey Epstein before Congress. So we do not have a solid confirmation of this, but I thought it would be good for us to just tap into this a little bit. And just a part of the article from Newsweek, it says what to know. According to an anonymous source speaking to the Daily Mail, Maxwell, who was convicted in 2022 over her links to Epstein illicit activities and serving 20 years of prison sentence. So she's serving 20 years, folks, has expressed a willingness to testify before Congress about her experiences. Now, I find it very interesting that if this is true, the timing of it in accordance to what Donald Trump is facing as far as MAGA, I never thought I would see where MAGA would actually turn on Donald Trump. But now if you turn on the news, that's all you see everywhere. They're really fed up because Donald Trump, in essence, ran on the fact that he would drain the swamp, right, the first time, and this time around. He would also reveal some of the toughest secrets, right? We went over that last night. And so now we see that MAGA is not having it. I have a lot of videos in store for you guys tonight to just break this down. It says the source reportedly told the publication, despite the rumors, Ms. Maxwell was never offered any kind of plea deal. She would be more than happy to sit before Congress to tell her story. So perhaps at this moment, she's tired of being in jail, prison, and maybe she wants to come forward and tell her story. So we'll just have to stay tuned, guys, to see what happens in regards to that. What I did, I went back and I pulled up the videos that breaks down what she's actually charged with. So that's what we're going to go over tonight. We're going to go through her charges to see what might be in store if she does go before Congress, and also who might be the target of the words that come out of her mouth. So let's have at it.
We begin today with breaking news in the Jeffrey Epstein case. The disgraced financier's longtime confidant has been...
All right, so this goes back quite a few years, around 2022, around the time that she was actually charged, actually a little bit before that. So we're going back in time, folks.
Arrested nearly 1 year after Epstein was taken into custody on federal sex trafficking charges. Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested earlier today by federal agents in New Hampshire. The British socialite is accused of conspiring with Epstein to sexually abuse minors. Maxwell is facing 6 separate charges, including conspiracy to entice minors to travel to engage in sexual acts, transportation of a minor with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, and 2 counts of perjury. Earlier, acting United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Audrey Strauss, explained her role in the sex trafficking scheme.
So she actually came through the same district, the Southern District of New York, as Sean Puffy Combs came through just earlier, folks.
Maxwell was among Epstein's closest associates and helped him exploit girls who were as young as 14 years old. Maxwell played a critical role in helping Epstein to identify, befriend, and groom minor victims for abuse. In some cases, Maxwell participated in the abuse herself.
Maxwell has long been tied to Epstein and allegedly began helping him identify and exploit minors beginning in 1994. Today's charges are the latest in the ongoing investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, who famously committed suicide while in custody last August ahead of his trial. CBS.
So last night we went through the actual videos that pertains to the night that Jeffrey Epstein met his demise. And basically, you could see in the video, if you guys go back, I would advise you to go and check out the videos. There are some things that are questionable. As far as The Wire, they examined the video and they determined that it had been edited by Adobe. So it's some valid concerns that people are having. So they want to know, where's this list at? Show us the list. But mysteriously, the government does not have a list. They came out. We also showed the videos last night where they said there is no list.
News legal expert and analyst Ricky Kleeman joins me now. Hi, Ricky. Great to see you. So Maxwell has been tied to Epstein for years, and we know that many of Epstein's victims had named her publicly. I think a lot of people who've been following this case sort of wondered where the investigation was going in terms of Maxwell. Do investigators now say they'd had their eye on her all this time?
Yes. What they say is that it has taken them a considerable amount of time to put together a case that goes back to 1994. And that makes perfect sense, that you can't just look at something that happened last week. You have to go back decades, and you have to go through each step of the process so that you know when your indictment finally comes down, that it really is airtight. And what we saw in that press conference, what we heard, was the outlines of an indictment that is really, really detailed. And what you have are 6 counts here. It's not only the overriding conspiracy with Jeffrey Epstein to bring young girls, some as young as 14.
Have any of you guys seen the documentary that's on Netflix, I believe, about Jeffrey Epstein? I think they did a good job of breaking down his life story, but also they break down the whole incidents and allegations involving these young individuals that were abused at his hands, and also breaks down how Maxwell allegedly played a big role. She was his girlfriend, but also lining him up with these terrible acts.
But clearly minors under the age of 18 that Ghislaine Maxwell knew were under the age of 18, to groom them, to seduce them, to entice them, to be available, apparently, according to the indictment, to Jeffrey Epstein, also with participation of Ghislaine Maxwell, and also be available to other men of the rich and powerful class. The indictment is as distasteful as the acts that we have learned about over the last 2 years. And I have to say, this is a mighty day of reckoning indeed, that Ghislaine Maxwell has finally been brought to the courts.
And does the indictment give you a sense of the depth of the evidence prosecutors might have against her?
Yes, and I think it is truly in depth. You know, we had heard a lot about Ghislaine Maxwell really dealing with the allegations of one of the victims, Virginia Giuffre, who has been open, vocal, had filed a civil suit. So we know about her, but it certainly sounds like there are many, many victims who are.
I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but this young lady that was abused by him that they're talking about right now, first name was Virginia. She unalived herself in recent years. So we see what abuse can do to individuals, that they can't even could never get back to a normal way of life. It's a terrible thing. Okay, guys, we have a person coming in right now that was on last night as well. We have that girl Henny. Come on in. Nice to
Hey,
have you.
yes, sorry for my lateness, but I am here. I am here.
All right, very good. So I'll give you a little recap. First off, I came on, I had some technical issues. I was prompt at 8 o'clock and couldn't get the sound to work due to a StreamYard issue. So anyway, I came back on at 9. So you're not the only one that's having a tough night, just so you know. But shout
Okay.
out for your graduation. I don't know if you want to talk about someone in your family graduated, if you want to
Y-
expound on it a little bit, not too personal,
Oh, yes, my middle daughter,
Oh,
she's the one that's graduating tomorrow, so I've been running today doing a lot to prepare for that, and tomorrow is the actual ceremony, and I'm very proud of her because she struggled a lot being that we moved from New York to Florida. And different school districts, different school systems, so she had to work really, really hard in order to graduate on time, or at least in the year she's supposed to graduate. And so she was able to knock that down, knock it out, and she's going to walk tomorrow, and I'm just ecstatic.
oh, wow. You're in mommy mode all day today, right?
All day today.
Mhm. Yeah, amazing. That's awesome. I'm happy for you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, I know it's all going to work out great tomorrow. You have a lot of people in the audience that are saying congratulations to you. So check
Thank you,
out the love.
everybody.
We got Eric in the building. He says congrats. Deborah says it was a malfunction. I have to coin that. That's a pretty good one right there. All right. Bordeaux says you're just in time, on time, Henny.
All
Never
right.
too late. Never too late. You're always on top of your game. So even when you're late, you're on time. That's right. So good deal. So listen, I started off. I just went over a little bit about Sean Puffy Combs. I did state it was a rumor, but they're saying that perhaps he's taking some therapy for the DV part of it.
Mhm,
And then I broke down in court how essentially they use the DV portion from the opening arguments against him. Actually, when it came down to the verdict, because they said, hey, you guys conceded that Mr. Combs had violence, and this is the reason why, we're not letting him go today for bail. So that was brought up by the judge. So that's what we went there. And then
mhm.
also we covered Maxwell. Basically, an article came out today in regards to her. They're saying that perhaps she might go testify in front of Congress. Right now, it's just a rumor. I think it came out in the Daily Mail. There hasn't been
Yeah.
any solid confirmation on that, so we talked about that. And now we're watching the video. Almost at the end, I'll run it back for you, just so you're up to speed. But it's basically breaking down the charges because
Mhm.
we just went to Diddy's trial, and the charges are a big portion of the whole court is built on these charges. So I wanted everybody to understand the charges that she had originally. But one thing I learned from this case, though, is that the charges were negotiated. They kind of changed along the way on this particular trial. So we'll probably have to fine tune with Maxwell to see what her final charges may have been and see if they had changed. So that's where we are with the discussion so far.
Okay. Well, I do have some of her court docs. I don't have all, but I have some of them. Um, and I know we talked about it a little bit last night, and I was saying that it came from the Daily Mail as well, that she was supposed to go before Congress. But I'll wait till we get a little further on. No, I think I should say it. I don't know. Well, the thought that I'm having right now is that she actually put this in a while ago. This isn't something that just recently happened since them coming out and saying that there is no list and that's it. She had already filed for this, but remember I spoke to you about the non-prosecution agreement that Epstein had?
Right.
That's kind of what sparked that in the first place for her, because she should have been named on that, is what she's saying, but she's not.
Oh, Okay. I
Yeah.
did hear about that today that she's seeking that. I don't know how true it is, but it looks like that's a part of her action.
Yeah, it is. I have the come on, you know if I'm gonna speak, I got the docs. Come on, I'm the doc tender.
Bring
I
it
have
on.
the docs.
She's the doc whisperer, guys. She has all the docs. That's why she's so valuable on the team. She has all the documentation. So tell us about it. Tell us a little bit more. Break it down, whatever you want to say.
Okay, so let me go ahead and let me just do this. So, in these court documents, she had put in an appeal with the Supreme Court, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just going off the top of my head at the moment, but I'm opening now because I know there was like an opposition of writ that was done. It was a lot of paperwork done for her, but let's see, is this it? All right. I think
Take your
everything is
time. Take your time. It's all good.
I think everything is just running slow today. Like everything is as if it's a Sunday
Yeah.
and it's Monday. All right.
Right.
So, and you're actually kind of saving me a little bit as well because I was going to talk about this on my channel earlier, but I got a little, a little mixed up on what was going on with me today. So, do you want me to share it? I can share it on the screen. That's not a problem.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me share with you guys so you can see what I'm looking at. All right, so this is dated, if you guys can see, it's dated December 2nd of 2024, which was last year. So this really doesn't have anything to do with what's going on now. And this is where she put in her appeal, all right? And I'm going to scroll down. I'm not going to read all of it for you guys, but it says that she appeared on June 29th of 2022, judgment of conviction in the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York. Maxwell was convicted of conspiracy to transport teacup humans with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity and transportation of teacup humans with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity and sex trafficking of teacup humans. All of this is a violation of 18 U.S. code, and it has all of the subsections on there as well for those of y'all who are into that. But what I wanted to focus in on, did we pass, is right here. On appeal, the questions presented are whether one, Jeffrey Epstein's non-prosecution agreement with the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida barred Maxwell's prosecution by the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, and two, a second superseding indictment of March 29th of 2021 compelled with the statute of limitation, and then three, the district court abused its discretion in denying Maxwell's Rule 33 motion for a new trial based on the claimed violation of her Sixth Amendment right to a fair and impartial jury. And then number four was the district court's response to a jury note resulted in a constructive amendment of or prejudicial variance from the allegations in the second superseding indictment, and five, Maxwell's sentencing was procedurally reasonable. So again, that's where she's trying to see if she's named in the Epstein non-prosecution agreement, but she's not. Her name is not there at all.
Wow.
Which to me, that was interesting because why wouldn't she be named if she's a person that was like his right hand?
Exactly. I would imagine that she should have been there, but it looked like somebody overlooked her.
Yeah.
It's like maybe like a slap in the face, huh?
That definitely is a slap in the face because I would think that she would be. Again, she was his right-hand man. She was the one who was being alleged to be right there with him while he was doing all of his dirty deeds, so to speak. And there's other people on there instead of her. Let me see if I can pull the non-prosecution agreement for you really quickly as we discuss this. But Yeah. I would want to know if I'm on that agreement as well. But my problem with this non-prosecution agreement is the fact that how do you give this to somebody who's been charged with heinous and egregious acts such as what he's been charged with?
Right. Right. Terrible stuff, right?
And then how does he get away with not being prosecuted?
Must be the money, right?
Has to be the money, because there's no way in the world. Is this it? I got it. Just give me a minute. I just listen. If you were to see my inbox is crazy with documents. All right.
No, take
So
your time. Everybody's waiting, and they're okay because they see we're getting solid information.
So here is the non-prosecution agreement for Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. And basically, what this non-prosecution agreement says is that he's not going to be prosecuted as long as he goes and he does right here. It says Epstein shall be sentenced to a term of 12 months of community control consecutive to his 2 terms in county jail. County
What?
jail. Yes.
So why would the guy unalive himself if I'm not understanding the picture here?
So this was given to him when he was arrested in Florida.
Okay,
He was arrested in Florida, and basically, instead of him being charged, this has to do with Acosta.
Okay.
Acosta put this into play. All right. So when he was arrested under he had been underneath state and federal investigation from 2021 to 2007 for engaging in actual exploitation of teacup humans, right? And so
Right.
the Palm Beach Police Department and the state attorney's office charged him with soliciting. Can we say the word on here?
Yeah, you can. Go ahead.
Oh, for solicitation of prostitution. And at the federal level, the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office identified multiple potential federal crimes that he had committed. So what this agreement did was it said that federal prosecution would be dropped entirely in exchange for a state level plea. And Epstein agreed and pled guilty to 2 Florida state charges of solicitation of prostitution of humans and solicitation of teacup humans to engage in prostitution, which also required an SEX offender registration. So now he's registered as an offender, right? And
Okay.
his sentence deal is 30 months total. But he did 12 months plus 6 months in county jail, not even a state prison, 12 months of community control, which was like basically house arrest probation.
Mhm.
And then he had to self-surrender himself and serve his time with work release privileges. So again, when we talk about work release privileges, we're talking about somebody who was put on the registration. We're talking about somebody who pled to crimes against minors. So, but this is what he had. The problem with this is, none of the victims were ever notified. The public never knew about this. And the co-conspirators that received immunity were Sarah Klein, Adrian Ross, Leslie Goff, and Nadia Merkovan.
Okay.
Those are the people that were named on there. And
Wow.
they received immunity. No Ghislaine Maxwell.
This is very intriguing.
So right here, this is where it is. The names that you're looking for. Let me highlight that. No Ghislaine. And it says right here, the United States also agrees that it will not institute any criminal charges. Let's highlight that. Against any potential co-conspirators of Epstein, including but not limited to. And then it goes into all of the people who I just named. But again, I guess she's trying to say, because it says including but not limited to, that she should be a part of this immunity thing.
Right. So this was strictly Florida, and then
This was for federal. He wasn't supposed to receive any federal indictments, but here he was on a federal case in New York. So I don't know if this is just for the Southern District of Florida or if it extended out to New York, which I'm going to assume that it didn't just that it was just for Florida, but the feds are the feds. So how is that possible?
Yeah, the feds usually. So that'll be a good question. I'll bring Calvin Johnson on and see if we can get, understand how New York came into the play, right?
Right. That I would love to hear what Calvin has to say about that, because when I stumbled upon that information, well, not even stumbled, his brother mentioned it.
Right.
So when his
Right.
brother mentioned this in his interview, I was like, does he have a non-prosecution agreement? And why was this done when it was done and nobody knew anything about it? Like, none of the victims were ever notified that this even went into play. And this was in 2007 that this was signed. It didn't come out till 2019.
Wow. So money must be a major factor when it comes to his case and how he was able to maneuver, right?
Mm-hmm. Had to have been.
I don't think that would be the case for the average Joe.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
Definitely.
not.
Yeah.
And the
yeah.
thing is, this non-prosecution agreement came out underneath Alexander Acosta, which we all know how Acosta came into play and the connection with Donald Trump.
Right.
So once again, all roads lead back to Donald Trump.
Wow. Great point.
Because think about it. In 2017, Acosta became the labor secretary.
You really know this case. It's very impressive.
No, I take notes.
Yeah, I know all about the notes you take. Yeah.
Yeah, I take notes.
What's amazing, I trust your notes, because with the Sean Puppy Combs case, we kind of came out with the same understanding about the case. So I'll definitely be borrowing notes from you on any other case that we're working together on. That'll be amazing,
No problem.
People, could you just take a moment, just tell them what it takes to take notes all day sitting on the church pews in the courthouse?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so when I would be in there, first of all, since we're talking about notes, let me just show the people my notebooks.
Oh,
I have 4 composition notebooks, right? There's 4 composition notebooks. This is just my regular notebook. And then I also have, let me grab these as well. I have 3 legal pads that when I ran out of notebooks, I have legal pads. And yes, people, my legal pads have front and back. Front and back of the pages just going. Okay, just going. Now, first of all, you have to be able to tune out any distractions. And it's really hard, especially when they start talking. And when you're in court, sometimes there's a rhythm that starts going between the attorney and the person who's on the witness stand. So it'll be things like, so you said that he called you on the night of April 15th, 2021, correct? Yes. And on that night, you said that you discussed such and such, correct? Yes. And on this night, such and such and such and such happened, correct? Yes. Or no, that's not what happened. Such and such and such has happened. Okay, so did blah, blah, blah. So they start this rhythm. And when the rhythm starts, you got to be able to get that hand in gear, because you're going to miss something. Also, it's a little distracting when you have people around you talking. So you have to be able to tune things out and laser focus on what's being said. And I guess for me, when I'm in a zone and I'm listening, I'm not even looking up at the screen. I'm just in a zone, just writing. And then as I'm taking it in, I'm trying to figure out how to summarize it. What's the most important parts that have to be verbatim? Like, that's just, I guess it comes from taking notes in school, taking notes in college. But it takes a lot to be able to get those notes down verbatim. And for me, because at first transcripts weren't readily available, some people started getting transcripts and sharing with others, which shout out to all of them that did that, because those transcripts were expensive. I was trying to tell people on my channel, y'all are looking at giving me about $2,000 a day. Do y'all want to crowdfund me getting the transcripts? So when you don't have transcripts, you're trying to make sure you get it as close to transcript as possible so that you can give accurate information and not miss a beat. So it takes a lot of pens, a lot of paper, and being able to stay focused. Because one thing that did happen a couple of times is somebody will say, "What did they say?" And you're in the middle of trying to remember what was said and write it as you're hearing what's being said now. And as soon as somebody breaks that, you're lost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
So,
and tell them about when they would show the text message and email exchange, and now you're trying to write down the text messages on the screen before they take it down. It's
now,
quite an art to this, right?
yeah, like you were in the main courtroom. I don't
Yes.
know what the exhibits were like in the main courtroom. Now, for us down there in the overflow, they put them up on the screen. The problem is, if you're not close enough to see what's on the screen, now you've got to try to get as close as possible because we had a little bit more wiggle room down in the overflow. So we could get up and walk up to the screen as long as we weren't being distracting, look at the screen and see what was happening. We might be able to whisper, "What did that say? Did you get what that said?" And we won't get in trouble. As we're in the main courtroom, you guys have to be quiet. You can't, even during the times when they're having sidebars, y'all can't say nothing. We can. So when the exhibits would go up, you're praying like hell that you're going to be able to get what's on the screen before they take it off, because sometimes they would just put something up and take it right back down. Now you're trying to figure out what was the exhibit, especially when it was like one page that had one short little blurb on it, and then they go to the next one and it's a big chunk. And I hated when they get these big long messages and you're in the middle of copying it, and then all of a sudden,
Right.
so it was a lot. This was very challenging. And this was, for me, this was my first boots on the ground in the courtroom. This was my first experience. So for me, I was getting frustrated, but I was like, look, ain't no time for feelings, girl. You got to get what you can get. And I would put a star next to something, or a little note next to something, like a little dot or something, so I would know, mark that, so I could go to somebody else who I knew was taking notes and pray that they had what I needed. And then I would go confirm that with other people. Sorry, it's not that I didn't trust people, but I needed to make sure what they gave me is what was given to us, because a lot of people were, I don't know what they were writing.
Yeah, absolutely. I learned the hard way. You can't get notes and information from just anybody because they'll have you looking crazy on the microphone.
Right?
Yeah,
Like some people, I'm like, wait, no, that's not what happened. That didn't even sound close to what happened. Where did you get that from? So, and then I, shout out to everybody, because everybody did their best. But being an in-courtroom observer, that takes a lot of patience and a lot of skill.
absolutely. In the main courtroom, they do not allow you to even have a peppermint. The only thing you can drink is water, no juice. And toward the end, they didn't even want you going to the bathroom. You could only go to the bathroom during the breaks. And if you left, you couldn't get back into the main courtroom. So the judge was very upset because a lot of people were leaving, trying to go, report back during the day to their people.
Right.
And when you have a lot of people coming in and out, it gets to be crazy after a while. So
I can agree, because that was also distracting as well. I will say, in the overflow room, it could get distracting at times with people running in and out. You had people that would come in, they would sit for a few minutes just to get like a salacious piece of information and then run back out and start talking about it. Or they would be sitting there the whole time taking a note. As soon as they get to a good part of it, they running outside to go report it. And I'm just like, but you just missed all of what came after that. But down in the overflow room, we were allowed to chew gum. We were allowed to have mints. We were allowed to have our water. Now, you couldn't come in there with your coffee. Some people snuck in juice. Some people snuck in sodas, put it in your bag and go in there. As long as they didn't see you with it, they didn't bother you. But like I said, it's a little more lenient in the overflow room than it is in the main courtroom, because we don't have the judge there watching us and the jury and the defendant. And so it was a little easier. And I actually liked it better in the overflow because I could hear good. When I was in the main courtroom, I couldn't hear good.
Yeah, that's a common problem that everybody have trying to hear in the main courtroom. I was able to hear pretty good though, throughout, but definitely in the overflow when I did go a couple times, the sound was right on the point.
Yeah.
Also in the main courtroom, no sleeping. If they catch you sleeping, they'll throw you right out of there.
You weren't allowed to sleep in the overflow room either. Some people would nod off. And again, if they didn't catch you, because that's the thing, you had some of the bailiffs who walked around the room, so you knew if it was a specific, after a while you knew which bailiffs were going to be walkers, and so you knew what you could do and what you couldn't do. It's just like being in school. You know what you can do when the substitute is there and what you can't do when the main teacher is there. So you had some of those who were very stickler. They kept it as if it were upstairs. They would let us talk to a minimum. They wouldn't let us talk like other ones. But sometimes people just took advantage. So there were times when there would be rules that came down on us the next day, like, hey, they were watching on the camera and they seen you guys doing a lot of this, so you can't do that in here today. But for the most part, there would be like, you might, but as far as, no, you couldn't do that in the overflow either.
Right. Wow. All right, so let's get back to the video. Let's see if I can find I think we're at a good starting point because we're going to go into the next video here. Let's see.
That Ghislaine Maxwell was the person who found them, groomed them, brought them into Jeffrey Epstein's orbit, and arranged their travel. Not only were there acts allegedly committed in the mansion in New York City, there were acts allegedly committed in Florida, at the ranch in New Hampshire. We have heard about the infamous island in the Caribbean, as well as acts in London. The acts in the United States.
So it appears he had a lot of properties too, right?
He did. He had a lot of properties too around the world. But again, what did he do for a living?
Right. That's a really good question. Definitely. I know investing was a part of the story, but I think in the documentary, I don't like really repeating what they said he did, but basically they painted a picture in the documentary like he got involved with this guy who owned a big woman's clothing store.
Right.
And kind of became involved with him. And the guy made him the power of attorney and turned over like some crazy number, like 700 million or something like that, like astronomical amount of money. And then he invested it. He was really smart with investing. And this is how he got his start. This is from a documentary. It may not be accurate. And I saw it many years ago, but something to that effect.
Yeah, they're saying Epstein scammed Henny. Yeah, that's basically what it's boiling down to. But I also have heard. Now right. Listen, those of y'all that are here, Henny gang that's here, y'all know what I mean when I say I heard. That means that they said it and I'm repeating it, but that don't mean that it's true. There's rumors out there that he worked for the federal government.
Wow.
Had some types of ties to the federal government. I mean, who knows? From what we're understanding and what we're learning about people who did have ties, they seem to get paid very well.
Wow. Diane says him and Donald Trump also did a lot of scheming and real estate together.
That makes sense.
Okay. Swagalow says that's facts. All right. They got Swagalow back in the building.
Yes.
All right, let's kick it.
States, territories, and the states themselves are going to be enough should Ghislaine Maxwell decide to go to trial and should she be convicted, that she would do an extraordinary amount of time in prison. But one thing, Tanya, I found so interesting in this press conference was there are counts of perjury. And with the counts of perjury, a question was raised by a member of the press saying, well, Does this foreclose cooperation if you've indicted her for perjury? And it was very smart. And in your graphic, you can see in count 5 and count 6 that there are perjury counts. That has to do with her deposition in a civil case back in 2016.
So they got her for perjury out of a civil case, 2 counts on this federal level charge. That's weird, right? That doesn't sound right, but maybe
No,
it
like
is.
you see me shaking my head like,
That don't make sense, right?
no.
Sounds strange. I'll have to research that one.
So one of the things the acting U.S. Attorney, Audrey Strauss, said is that we often deal with cooperators who have been indicted for perjury. So the door is open that if Ghislaine Maxwell would like to spare these victims a trial, that there may be a way to work out a deal where she would do less time. It is hard for me to believe that they would let Ghislaine Maxwell walk out of there because she really was a co-conspirator, according to the government, with Jeffrey Epstein.
Let me ask you a question. You have the documentation.
Mhm.
Is there any mention about a RICO? I see conspiracy everywhere, but I didn't hear RICO.
Honestly, I have not looked through all of the documents as of yet.
Okay.
Because like I said, I was just getting ready to dig on this myself. I was supposed to do a video today on it and didn't get a chance to. But I didn't see anything as
Okay.
far as a RICO had went from what I glanced over. So I can't confirm or deny whether or not there's a RICO, but I can tell you this much. I'll have the information for you tomorrow if you give me
Okay.
till tomorrow.
All right. You have till tomorrow, definitely.
Another thing, Tanya, if I may, they certainly left the door open when Audrey Strauss, the acting U.S. Attorney, said she'd really like to hear from Prince Andrew.
Yes, absolutely.
Prince Andrew was caught up in the mix too, right? He was in the Matrix, right?
Listen, a lot of these princes and royals, unfortunately, for them, have been caught up in a lot of these types of scandalous parties and involvements. A lot of them. This is not the first time we've heard about the royals being over on U.S. soil or over there, because he even had parties over there in London. So this ain't that. I don't want to get into conspiracy theories.
No, I hear you.
Plus, we have the crash out report who is in here, and that is like one of my biggest conspiracy theory buffs. Her, Kristen, Dre is not in here, but those 3 right there, and Miss Poppington, them 4 conspiracy theorists all day long. You get on the phone with them, you're going down a rabbit hole, and somebody's gonna have to throw you a life jacket to get you out.
Oh boy, we have to get them to hit the link to come on up and tell us some of these theories. We'll have to go through it. Definitely. Let me ask you another question. Do you think that there's any, I know you don't know, but do you think that there is a possibility she will testify before Congress, or you think somebody just pulled that out the air?
I don't know. With her asking for an appeal and it going back to December of last year, she could go before, I don't know. Appeals usually go before the Supreme Court. I don't know if she's going to make it to Congress. And at this point, with them saying that there is no list and the investigation is closed, and with all of that that's going on, I don't even know if Congress would really want to hear from her.
Right.
Because they're trying to sweep it under the carpet as we speak. So why kick up the dust and bring her out? I will say though, Ghislaine, you better be careful and protect your neck, literally and figuratively. You don't want to get Epstein in there.
Yeah.
So don't start tooting your horn too much.
Right. There's so many different conspiracies, though. I mean, now I even heard today people are saying, oh, he's living on an island somewhere. So it's a matter of them switching out, and the guy in the cell didn't look like him. I'm like, wow, all of the cases where there's a missing minute or some little glitch, people turn that into it takes on a whole different life, right?
No, it really does, because that was something that I was hearing too. They're like, yeah, he's on an island with Tupac and Elvis. And I'm like, what? And then they're saying that he brought another island. So he's over there on that island. But we saw the body, guys. Well, at least I saw it. I saw the pictures. So I don't know.
Wow.
It looked pretty real to me. He was very pale and ashen.
Yeah. You know, one of the staff members at the courthouse that we went to said that the MCC, I believe, was next door to the courthouse. That's the building where he had this whole episode, you know, where he was unalived. I didn't know that, you know, until like the last day of court. So that building has been down ever since, pretty much. So because they said basically Mr. Combs, that's where he would have stayed during the trial had, you know, the whole building been in operation.
Right. That's true. But you know, the Epstein thing played a big part in closing that down. So I know a lot of people were happy to see the MCC go, because to my understanding, it was horrible. Just not as bad as Brooklyn, but almost as bad as Brooklyn.
Right. Are you familiar with the building that Combs is at now?
I have not been there. I do have a loved one who has been to MDC Brooklyn, and they told me that it is terrible.
Really?
Yeah. So aside from the rumors that you hear, you know, I'm from New York, so you hear about things that go on at MDC Brooklyn, and it's not a place that you want to be. Like it's a jungle in there. It's crazy.
Wow.
But where Diddy is, he's not in general population. So he's in a separate section from where everyone else would be. So it's not like you or I would go in there, you know, forbid, caught on some charges, go in there and we're hobnobbing with Diddy. Diddy's on a whole nother side. He's over there and he's hobnobbing with Luigi and the Alexander brothers. Like that's where he is over there. He's not in general population with everyone else.
Okay, so it's more like a high profile situation.
Right.
Okay, because I believe I saw where he was in there with Tekashi 6ix9ine and some other individuals. Yeah, like you said, Luigi and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
very good. Thank you for the insight. Let's see what's next here.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people are curious about that connection as well. But Ricky, what can you tell us about how severe these charges are? Whether or not she cooperates, is she likely to do significant jail time?
Yes, I think that one of the reasons people have postured as to why Jeffrey Epstein may have committed suicide was the idea that there would be so much time that he couldn't face the fact that he was going to go to prison perhaps for the rest of his life. Well, when you look at the overriding conspiracy plus the underlying counts, we're not talking months here. We are talking a significant term of years.
All right. Well, Ricky Kleeman, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your legal expertise. We really appreciate it.
Good to be with you, Tanya.
Jeffrey Epstein story is a big.
Okay, so Swagalo says this man had secrets on presidents, popes around the world. Well, and I think that that's very true. And that's the reason probably why he went out the way he did.
I would agree with that. My only thing is they're talking about this, right? But we just saw he had a non-prosecution agreement. So it brings back up the question that you posed. Was this just for Florida? Because it said federal and state. So are we now saying that this was just for the state of Florida? Because we're talking about federal, state. We're talking about attorneys, U.S. attorney generals and all types of stuff. What was this for? What was this non-prosecution agreement actually for?
Right. Very interesting. I'm definitely going to have Calvin come up and try to answer that for us. I reached out to him. I'm going to see if he can perhaps swing in tonight. I really want to know the answer to this. It's quite confusing, right?
Very, very.
Especially if he had a deal on the table. What made that go left? Federal is federal, right? From what I understand.
And I believe that that was one of the issues that he was having. According to his brother, that was one of the issues. Like, he had this on the table. He was not supposed to be prosecuted. So how, even he wants to know, how did he end up in the Southern District of New York, locked up in MCC?
Right. That's a very good question. I'm going to definitely see if we can get an answer tonight.
I would
right.
love if he could jump up here and explain it. Please.
Okay. Diane says it's because the system is the puppet master. They're the ones that were in on it. What do you think about that?
I would agree with that. From the way that everything looks, from all of the ties, all roads leading back to some type of political party, some type of political figure, they're definitely in bed with this. And like I said last night, I don't believe that this is something that one side or the other doesn't want to come to the light of day. I think it's something that for the first time in history that we could see, both parties are in agreement with this can't see the light of day.
Right, right. Did you ever think you would see a time when MAGA would be so upset with Donald Trump?
No.
That's like, it's like the Twilight Zone, right?
It is, but you know what? I find it hilarious because these people were like, no offense to anyone. And, you know, there's some people, we all know them. Everybody who has a fan base, there's different types of people in the fandom. And a lot of people who were MAGA supporters were completely over the top. And now it's looking like they're having to face the reality that people have been saying, this man is a jerk. He's a liar. And a lot of us from New York been trying to tell people this about him. They just don't listen to us. But we know his history because he's a New Yorker. So we know his dirt. And I'm not surprised because, again, we have to go back to the beginning of all of this. People forget. I love that earlier today when I was driving, you were playing that video of the two of them when Donald Trump had brown hair and more hair than he has now. And Epstein looked like, you know, a young playboy. They were together back then. That was his homie. They were throwing parties. Epstein was at Mar-a-Lago. There's all of this connection in history, right? So now when this comes to play, all of a sudden, people are surprised, like, oh, I can't believe he's not going to expose the Epstein files. Why would you ever believe him in the first place? When there's a connection, there's dirt clearly there. Whether it be flight logs, contact book, address book, whatever it is that they have, it's still a connection directly back to a man who's in charge of the country right now. He can't afford to have that out, especially with all of the allegations he's had against him. Come on. You had Stormy, and who was the other one? I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I don't recall.
Was it Marla Maples?
Could have been. And also you have 34 felonies. I was there for the court case. Yeah, I was there in the building.
Tell us about the court case for that. I mean, I heard you say he's like tall. I never would have imagined Donald Trump being 6 foot tall.
Yeah, he's tall. He's a tall guy. And he's not what you see on TV. You know, he just comes across different in person. He has a commanding presence for sure. He had the whole place, like everybody was all eyes on Trump, basically. But you could tell he only had one team, where Diddy had 4 team of attorneys. Donald Trump only had one, and we see the outcome, 34 felonies, but it did not stop the show. Actually, when he had his first term, I don't know if you remember, when they pulled his attorney, Michael Cohen, who ended up in Otisville in federal prison. They had left the co-conspirator in that case like open, but everybody knew that the co-conspirator in his case was Donald Trump. And I posted on Facebook, someday he's going to have to sit in that seat. And basically that's what happened.
Okay, so I'm seeing Marla was the one who he cheated on Ivanka with. Okay, listen, I can't keep up with all of this man's indiscretions because there's a lot of them. Okay, so forgive me. But I know there was 2 of them.
Right. Yeah. We have Uda on the go that's about to come up. I think he left out. So Uda, if you're still in the building, I was just about to bring you in. So at some point when he comes back up, you'll see Uda join us on stage. And if someone else would like to come up, feel free to come up to ask your questions. We're going to go through the rest of the video, as well as what I want to talk to you about is this. I know a lot of people don't like Elon Musk, right? But I do think that he's pretty sharp when it comes to various things. I think he's right about the file. And I think, as I said last night, I think the government is saying, it's like playing a little game. Oh, we don't have a list. Well, I didn't ask you about a list.
Right.
It's just like apples versus oranges, Oh, well, we don't have. Okay, that's not what I asked you. So do you think that there is a possibility that there are files of real people, places, and things that Epstein kept and the government has it, but they're just trying to throw a monkey wrench and saying, oh, we don't know anything about a list?
Right. When it comes down to the files, I believe there are a lot of files, and the files are not just files as we think, where it's a bunch of paperwork compiled. I believe they're digital files, videos, same thing like what they had said that Diddy had. And I still believe, just me personally, that the government has a hold of, because it's not the first time that we've heard about videos at parties, right? So I believe that he has maybe some of these high-powered people in some compromising positions on videotape. But I don't think it's what everyone is thinking. Okay, I think that's what it is. I think it's photographs, videos, conversations, maybe even a lot of techie stuff, even though we weren't in so much of the age of techie stuff. So we thought, because look at what happened in the Diddy case. They went all the way back to 2007, 2008. They went. So who's to say that they can't track these things down, or that he didn't have these things in his possession? And as far as my thoughts on a list, I believe that the list that they may be talking about are, like we said, flight logs in combination with party people who were invited to parties, the guest list. Those types of things, who frequented there, would be a list. But it's not what we're thinking, people, where it's, oh yeah, he's got a list of everybody who was a client. I don't think that. If anybody had a list of clients, it would be Ghislaine, in my opinion, because she was the one who was coordinating a lot of stuff according to the government, correct?
Right.
So why would Epstein have that list?
Yeah. I saw an article today said that she was his pimp. I was like, what in the world?
Don't make me laugh. That's not funny, but it's funny. Like, what?
Yeah. See all these different articles is something else, right? Definitely.
I would say she would be his co-pimp, because he was the pimp.
Yeah. Major money,
Big time.
He could make anything happen with the money, but it definitely was not for a great purpose,
You're right.
All right. Let's see what this next video is about. Let's have at it.
Big deal. Please do not let that story go.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
Black Book?
FBI.
But who? That is that. I mean, there's.
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so, because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
This isn't about Epstein or 9/11 or JFK or RFK. It is, but it isn't. It's about a bigger thing. If you're lying about that, you're lying about everything. Who's on the Epstein tapes, folks? Who's on those tapes? Who's in?
You see how passionate he is about it?
Yes. And if anything, that's what makes me believe that this exists, because he's been in those high places around all of these people. He knows.
Yeah.
He just can't say.
Yeah, but once he took office, he changed his whole tune. That's
Right.
the shocking part from the video I played last night. Remember? Once he had that suit on,
He
the gray
changed
suit.
his story all the way up. But you know what? Seeing him change his story up confirms, like, all the stuff that we saw. What was that show with Olivia Pope? That all of that wicked, crooked stuff that they were showing us on that TV show really does exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you have to swear allegiance, like, you know, to keep secrets from the American people when the government is supposed to be totally transparent. Scandal, that was the name of it. Yes,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
living in
Yeah.
a real life scandal.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Good job, Nikki. And Diane said also the Oval, so maybe that has a similar plot to it. I haven't watched
Okay.
that before.
I
Okay.
haven't watched The Oval since a long time ago.
Yeah.
I did watch Prison Break, Kristen. I got tired of watching Prison Break because it seemed to be the same story over and over again.
Right. Amazing. I used to enjoy watching that. I think I watched the entire thing as well.
Wow.
All right. So let's have back to the video.
In those black books, why have they been hiding it?
And this is something Donald Trump has talked about. The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
So what's sitting on her desk? What do you think? And you notice the guy said a black book. Maybe he's just saying it to say a black book, but it makes you wonder, right?
Well, I mean, again, that goes back to the guest list, the contact book, you know, if there were people that were constantly in contact with him, those would be people that would be under investigation to see what the connection was between them. But again, it's a lot of different information that compiles in an investigation. And with him being under investigation from 2001 to 2007, that doesn't mean that they didn't go back a little further. So all of this information, I feel like, I don't think it's a story change. I think what it is different portions of the information that they're speaking on.
Good point. That's a very good point. Let's see. The Sacco 69, a grocery shopping list, was sitting on her desk. She's a liar.
I like that one.
Michelle says the black book reminds me of Heidi Fleece in around 2000. Okay. All right. Pammy Doss says they all have changed their story. Okay. Good point. We have a lot of people in the audience. They're really cracking up. It's
somebody said, I can tell you from experience. I was a former escort. We all keep a black book.
Oh, wow. Where is that at? That's a good one.
That is Diane. She's the third one up.
Oh, okay. Very good. Good point. All right. Let's go back to it.
Everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. Americans have a right to know.
The whole thing that this tape shows he didn't kill himself is like a joke. But worse than that, it's a joke that we all get. Like, they're not fooling anybody. So I feel like we're at a dangerous point now.
So now by coming in and being...
You know, I had to play Alex Jones again.
You had to play Alex again?
I had to bring Alex back one more time, guys. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
This will be the last one.
Part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm gonna go throw up, actually, and this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically gonna puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now because
oh boy,
because I have integrity, and I just really need the Trump administration.
Alex Jones has integrity, folks. He has integrity.
To succeed and to save this country, and they're doing so much good. And then for them to do something like this tears my guts out.
Who have you seen? Pam Bondi. She has never missed an opportunity to go on television and dangle sweet nothings that might be coming your way. Try to lead you to believe that she's got it. It's on her desk. It's coming tomorrow. You're going to see something on Epstein. And it was a tease. So you either believe that Pam Bondi was telling the truth then, or that she's telling the truth now. But both cannot be true. She was either lying when she went on Fox News all those times saying, I've got it, we're looking at it, wait until you see it, it's horrible. Or she's lying in her 2-page memo that they released on a Sunday night at the tail end of a holiday weekend to Axios, as if Axios is where we all go for our news. Hell no. She went to someone she knew would not kick the tires on the story, and without signing the memo, dropped it in the dead of night and said, that's it.
Did you ever think you'd see the day where she would be talking negatively about Pam Bondi and Donald Trump?
Pam Bondi or anybody in the Trump cabinet. But again, this is a rude awakening, and they're starting to see. Now, I wanted to say something about Alex Jones, because Alex Jones is one of the biggest conspiracy theory buffs that I have ever met. I came across Alex Jones back in like 2008. And back then he was running with Jesse the Body Ventura. And they were doing this show, Conspiracy Theories. And Alex Jones was a big conspiracy theory buff. And seeing him be this emotional about Donald Trump and his non-existence of integrity in this matter, or, you know, whatever, I'm going to be polite. I'm waiting to hear his conspiracy theory on this.
Yeah, you know he has one, right?
He has one. And I want to hear what Alex Jones has to say as far as the conspiracy behind this whole, there's no list, we're not investigating anymore, it's over.
What is your gut feeling? You think they're all going to get in line, or you think that they're going to try to oust Trump eventually?
I think they're going to try to oust him.
Really?
I do. Because a lot of people felt very emotionally, especially his supporters, felt very emotionally about this specific topic right here. And I think what he did for all of them was he violated trust. He got caught lying with there's no doubt about it. Anybody that's out here saying they didn't lie to us, you're delusional. I'm just going to say it. Mel is not saying it. I'm saying it. You're delusional, because that's what this was.
Right. You notice the Democrats are pretty quiet right now.
Very quiet. They want no smoke.
It's MAGA on MAGA, right?
Right.
The weirdest thing I've ever seen.
I think the Democrats are sitting back with their popcorn watching what's going on right now.
Yeah. That's the scary part about it, that MAGA is really trying to kick him out. I think they have one of his sons lined up to be the next president, right?
Yeah. That's what I heard. I don't know how true it is, but that's what I heard.
Yeah, this might pose a big problem. It looks like it from what I'm seeing. Every station that I watch, or website, CNN, Fox, even Fox is sticking it to Trump. I never thought I would see that.
Because Fox's integrity is on the line right now. CNN, Fox News, CBS, ABC, MSNBC, all of these news outlets, they are known to be somewhat, I'm going to say somewhat, because Fox showed their hand a long time ago to us. And they're reliable. They're people who, they're networks who are considered to be reliable sources of information. And Pam Bondi got up there and told Fox News, hey, the list is on my desk. And now she's trying to change what she said. But I think, Fox News may get over it eventually, move on. But I really need to see what's going to happen with this. I'm like the Democrats right now. I'm not saying I am one. I'm just saying I'm like them. I'm sitting back like this, just watching.
Yeah. See what's going to happen, right?
Right.
All right.
Take the crumbs and be happy. Make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Raise your hand if it matters a lot to you. Raise your hand. So every hand of 7,000 people.
Everybody cares.
A lot. I said a lot. Every hand.
There is a.
Let me ask you a question. Why do you think so many people, especially like MAGA, why are they so concerned about Jeffrey Epstein? Any comment on that?
Because it's a lot of scandal against, from what they think would be the Democrats, because of the Bill Clinton information that is on there and the allegations of Obama being on there. And this would solidify them in all of their righteousness that they think they're dealing in at this moment. So I feel like for them, this matters the most because it's going to expose everybody on the Democratic Party. But they seem to have forgotten that your chief and commander is entangled in this too.
The best of both worlds, right?
Right.
Wow, that's you know, you could tell by the video that he hesitates. He doesn't really want to release that. There's something about it that he doesn't want to release, right? It's almost like he's recalling maybe some events or something.
Right.
Because he answers when they ask him about those other conspiracy or whatever. He says, "Oh yeah, I'll let it go. I'll let it go," but not Epstein. That's interesting.
The interesting part for this for me though was the fact that he was all, you know, if you hire me, if you reelect me back into office, I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna expose the Epstein files. I want to know what they saw that made them want to shut it down.
Must have been terrifying, right?
Very terrifying, very damaging information, or what phone call he got and from whom that made him shut this down.
Yeah, because if it was just a matter of Joe Biden and Obama, oh, he would have released that thing so fast. He would have had it on Jump Street, right?
I agree. I
21.
totally agree. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. But something to think about. All right.
A lot, and we're not gonna like everything. There's a lot that's kind of bubbling under the surface, and I know you know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to ask a few questions to all of you. How many of you are satisfied? You can clap. Satisfied with the results of the Epstein investigation? Clap. Okay, I told you to clap. You guys aren't listening. I'm not going to grade you on a curve. So I was going to get to that. How many of you are not satisfied with the results of the investigation?
So what do you think it looks like if the MAGA crew takes down Donald Trump? Where does it leave the Republican Party? Wouldn't that be odd?
It would be very odd. I'm not sure how that's going to leave the Republican Party, if it's going to affect the party as a whole or if it's just going to affect him.
Right. So then we'd have Vance as the man of the hour, huh? JD Vance, huh?
Not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, definitely. I have to leave that one with you. I can't comment on JD Vance.
No, we're going to leave that with the audience because I have no comment either.
I can't even go down that road. I'd be canceled by midnight.
Listen, we have enough on our plates right now, and we're tiptoeing around this. I think we're doing it pretty eloquently. I might crush a couple of shells here or there, but nothing big. Somebody said, John Edwards said, impeach Trump again.
Impeach him again for the 19th time. Good.
Right. And he's going to stay in office like he did each and every time before.
Yeah, absolutely.
It looks like it's going to be, and now this is like the who's going to be off the island first, right? This is who's going to be voted off the island first. And I don't know what to believe.
I think it's true what she's saying. This is what we've been talking about tonight, right? They're about to vote. Somebody's got to leave the office. They have to get rid of a big fish, and I think Trump might be in for it if they keep getting the momentum. It could die down though. It's quite possible, but it's not looking good right now.
I don't know. It seems like right now Pam Bondi seems to be the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
Even though he's come out and kind of like defended her, didn't someone step down?
Yeah, I think quite a few, or they will let go. I'm not sure the exact names, but I did see the headlines.
Yeah. So Kristen said, I'm gonna go watch The Simpsons and see what's gonna happen. Well, if you watch The Simpsons, then
they're pretty accurate, right?
I mean, they spoke of something. I don't want to say what they spoke of, but they already made a prediction on this, if that's the case. But they have been very, very accurate. Very accurate.
Yeah. C's McCall says the Dems are letting them eat themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening. Okay. All right.
On that.
I would strongly recommend in that, because I've argued for this from the beginning, that in that arc of looking at how the deep state has tried to stop Trump and the MAGA movement, you can easily fit in the Epstein situation, right? If you want the full release of documents, the special prosecutor gets it, and here's why. Epstein is a key that picks the lock on so many things, not just individuals, but also institutions, intelligence institutions, foreign governments, and who was working with him on our intelligence apparatus and in our government. This is why it's a time for choosing now.
To social media, calling on his MAGA base to end its obsession with Epstein, writing in part, quote, they're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job.
You hear that? She's doing a fantastic job.
Fantastic. You know, why is everything with him? You know, we have the biggest and the best and the greatest, and we're doing amazing. And this is a fantastic person here. We're doing things that have never been done in history before.
Oh, boy, you're right on the money. You're right on the money. It's almost scary how close you come to Donald Trump there.
Because in 2020, he was the comedy show that we all tuned into. Come on, how could we ever let him get away with drink bleach?
Oh, yeah. That'll definitely solve the problem.
That was classic.
Right? That'll kill every little ounce of COVID and kill you too, right?
Right. Like,
unbelievable.
How could we ever forget how he tormented us every day on Twitter? We woke up just to go to Twitter like it was the newspaper, just to see what he tweeted about. And we laughed and we snickered and we giggled. He brought us so much joy with his tiny little hands. At least they look tiny on TV.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is just on brand for him for what he said about Bondi.
Yep. Right on the point.
We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. His post.
All over a guy who never dies. That's an interesting selection of words, right?
I had to sip my water on that.
There goes that conspiracy, right?
Right. And the thing is, he was a big Jeffrey Epstein conspiracy buff, him and his whole cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a very interesting statement to make, all over a guy who never dies.
Never dies. That makes you think. Maybe that's where the ideas are coming from, that he's over in the island somewhere, right?
Possibly. Because a lot of people could take that a lot of different ways.
Yeah, definitely, right?
Absolutely.
was met with widespread backlash among his own followers and also prompted this response from tech billionaire and former Doge leader Elon Musk. Quote, seriously, he said, Epstein, half a dozen times while telling everyone to stop talking about Epstein, just released the files as promised. At the same time, two sources
just released the files. Elon Musk went through the files. He knows that the files exist, right?
Exactly. He knows a lot of things that exist. I'm just waiting for Trump to get pissed enough to deport Elon.
Yeah. Did you see the video where he said he would definitely consider deporting him?
I'm waiting for him to do it.
Yeah, I'll play that tomorrow. He wants to send him out of here. Yeah. Did you see the video I also posted about the whole new arrangement with the farmers?
No.
Presiding over the immigrants or what have you?
No, I didn't see that.
They'll be responsible. It's like a new form of
slavery.
Yeah, that's the word.
Look, I didn't even see the video, and that's the first thing that popped into my head was, oh, don't even get me started, because we'll go down a rabbit hole. Listen, I am a truth seeker, but I will go so far in analyzing but I've been saying they've been trying to bring this back. And, back in 2010, one of the things that I will say Alex Jones and Jesse Ventura were showing on that show that they had, which by the way, you can't even find it on the internet anymore.
No.
You've got to really dig for the conspiracy theory stuff, show that they had. They were talking about the camps and the trains and the coffins they had for mass bodies, and talking about they were going to use diseases to try to wipe out people and all types of stuff that they were talking about in 2010. So when 2020 came and we got COVID that hit us, I said, oh, they have declared war on the world citizens, not just the United States. So I already said back then that I felt like they were going to try to bring slavery back in some form. And while a lot of people are busy saying, oh, this ICE situation isn't an us situation, it actually is, because we need to pay attention to what's going on. Because I don't know if Mel feels this way, but I feel this way. Like, if things keep going the way that they're going, they are definitely going to try to bring some things back.
Yeah, we're already there.
And I'm not part of that. I will be like those people in Demolition Man, except I'm not eating a rat burger that lives underground. I will be totally vegan by then.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something? It's a very serious matter, though, because in New York, I mean, people were terrified out in the street protesting. And what I found is that most people, if they did not fall into that category, they were like out of sight, out of mind. Not realizing that, if you take that approach, it'll be knocking on your door. You'll be next.
Exactly. And I heard somewhere, I can't remember where I heard it from. So I have to say I heard, because I can't remember if I read it from a newspaper or something, about if we leave the country and you travel to certain places, you may not be able to get back in.
Yeah. Did you hear about the guy in Canada? He's been here since he was 3 years old. He went to Canada he goes every year.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, they did not let him back in.
Oh, no. Wow. No, I didn't hear about that. See,
but he had a DUI. He had a couple things going on. They said, no, you're disqualified. You're denied.
Yeah, but I thought you had to be convicted of a crime in order to be deported.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that I kept saying about Diddy's case. The government, they write the rules as they go,
This is scary. And, I've had private conversations with people who feel different ways about this whole situation that's going on. And I said to them, the ones who are opposed, like, it's not us, it's not our problem. And I'm like, yes, it is. It is our problem, because this is the test. And I hate to say that, but it feels like this is the test. And if they succeed in this test, then it's war on the American people after that. If we can get rid of the ones who aren't documented to be here and the ones who gave birth to kids, they're leaving kids behind. Like, people are talking about neighbors having to take on children at the drop of a dime from neighbors that they barely know because the child is being left behind, which I'm hearing is a choice of the parents to either take the child with them or leave the child here. So now you're deporting citizens because they're natural born citizens. You're deporting them out of the country because their parents are not documented, or they're being forced to leave their children here with the stranger. So you think that it's okay, and you're saying it doesn't affect us. I'm going to say it again. Children who were born here, natural born citizens, left here with strangers or to fend for themselves because they may be coming home and there's no parent.
Right.
And they're citizens. So if they're doing this to the citizens already, imagine what's to come next. Like, we have to always keep one eye open with them. Well, I say both eyes on them.
Right. So it's something to think about. I really do appreciate having you on with me tonight. We covered a lot of ground when it comes to Maxwell. Right?
Yes, we did. And I'm going to be digging into my documentation on that Maxwell so that we can get a little bit deeper tomorrow into that topic. So definitely look forward to tomorrow evening.
All right. And thank you to everybody. We got off to a rough start. I had no volume. So that was quite a challenge, but thank you for everybody that came back. And we were still able to do it, folks, still able to do it. So we appreciate everybody. Do you have any closing remarks? What would you tell the good folks out in the chat how to navigate life right now in the United States?
Pray. So whatever your higher power is, pray and hold your family close and keep both eyes on the government.
That's good advice. Very good advice.
What about you? What's your closing statement for the night?
Let's see. What would be my closing statement? Do you have a specific subject, or you want me to talk about Maxwell? Throw something at me.
Anything. Everything. What we talked about tonight.
Okay. So I'll just talk about what's been on my mind. I would say it's very important for us as the average American person to really understand finances.
Yes.
Because what's happening is the biggest portion of your finances is buying a home, and they do not teach you that in school. So people are becoming first-time home buyers, not understanding what they're doing, but they have all this vast education, but they don't understand the simplistic process to buying a home or buying stock, being able to leave to your children, or even just to live a more comfortable life. Most people don't understand those concepts. So that would be my advice, is to start reading. When you can't sleep at night, the older you get, the less you can sleep sometimes. Take those moments to start to research what it means, and buying books. Go to the bookstore if you can't afford the book, and understand, how to start your own business. I would say that's the wave of the future, because with AI, it's going to be tough to navigate. If you think it's hard to find a job now, it's going to be much harder.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up AI, because there's a lot of changes that are happening on YouTube. Before we leave, did you know that there are changes coming? And one of the changes is they are no longer going to monetize AI videos. So all of those, and I believe it's because a lot of those AI videos that came in and took over and just spread like wildfire and spread a lot of the false news. It was a lot of AI channels on YouTube that we were beating back narratives when we were at the trial. Like, oh, did this person testify? I heard this person testified. It was coming from a lot of those AI channels. So So what I will say is I commend YouTube for no longer monetizing those videos, because when you brought up AI, you got to think about it. They now have garbage trucks that don't require the garbage men anymore. Just one person to drive it, and the truck will pick up the garbage on its own. They're now trying to do these vehicles that don't need people to drive. So that's going to eliminate taxi drivers and Uber and Lyft and even the way that we DoorDash and Instacart and all of that stuff, because they're now moving into a AI and robot type of society. So that's going to make things a lot harder for us. There's restaurants that have computers, AIs doing all of the work. There's nobody in there. So I commend YouTube for saying, listen, we're not going to monetize these AI channels, because this may end up being the only way that people are going to receive any type of information from humans in a minute.
Good point. Very good point. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We'll be back on later in the week or tomorrow. We'll post about it tomorrow morning, let you know when's the next show. But we definitely appreciate each and every one of you. And thank you, Henny, for coming on as always. All right.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
All right.
Different voices, but the same song. Building a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the thing remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we